Welcome back to another episode of the Crib Podcast Special Edition. Today, you're going to be listening to some interview segments with a few of my friends that I've had on past podcasts, and we're going to talk about this year's election. So, buckle up. It's going to be some good talks, good conversation. Be open, and you guys are really going to enjoy this. So, it's been in the works for a long time. So, I hope it turns out well. Appreciate you guys liking, subscribing, and stay tuned till the end because I got an announcement. Just gonna kind of jump right into it. So today, my first kind of person on this one is Claire Green again. She was on an earlier one, but obviously the results of the election are in, and very happy about those results. But kind of just take us through your reaction, Claire.
My first initial reaction, I think, was relief, just because Donald Trump is out of office. But I feel like I'm not necessarily thrilled that it's Joe Biden, but I'm still absolutely relieved and excited that Trump is finally out of office. That's for sure.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, obviously both candidates were, the cream of the crop, obviously, but I think the priority thing was just to get Trump out of office so we can hopefully try and make some change. And yeah, I mean, you celebrate the win, but at the same time,
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with everything,
there's a certain balance, I guess, between celebrating the wins, but also acknowledging that there's still a lot more work to do.
Yeah. So, I mean, Biden, obviously has his past and his and all the dirt that he's had.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think, putting all that aside, I think the important thing was just to get Trump out of office and then get someone in charge.
That was the first step.
Yeah, just to get someone in charge who at least has sense of dignity and someone that'll stand up for someone that is thinking correctly like everyone else. Because I think with everything going on, especially with COVID, the racial inequality in America, and just a couple other, things that have been, pretty, things with gender and stuff. It's important that we take one step, hopefully, in the right direction. But
definitely, baby steps.
But yeah,
we're going into the right direction.
But yeah. I want to kind of point out one thing that you posted on your story. I think it was the day of when Biden was elected or projected to be in. It was something about remember that we aren't celebrating Biden, we're celebrating that Trump is out of the office. And I think a lot of people kind of lose sight of that, in this. So just because, he's not the best, but he's the best, he's the shortest, or he's the tallest midget at this point.
He's the better of two evils. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that kind of caught my eye, and I thought that was actually a good assumption. I think it was more we were celebrating that he's out of office, but
exactly,
But yeah, I saw a lot of the videos online and stuff of New York celebrating, people parading the streets. So
it's really heartwarming to see. I feel like everything was just brighter that day. You know what I mean? I don't know.
That was a really good day.
It's just a lot of people it just restored a lot of hope. I feel like in a lot of people.
Yeah, and then seeing some of these the stories of some people that have been really affected by this, and over these past 4 years. I saw that one newscaster or whatever. I forgot his name, but he was kind of breaking down on camera just because he was so relieved and so happy. Yeah,
definitely. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
I shed a few tears. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just
I
been
did.
it's been a long fight, It's been a long fight.
No, it really has.
Yeah.
And it's nowhere near over yet, but like now that we have a leader who's not Trump, it's just like, okay, maybe we can, even if it's small steps, we're moving towards the right direction.
Exactly.
So it's really it's really comforting.
Yeah. And that's the important thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, even though the right person is in office right now, there's still a lot of work to be done. And I think
definitely.
Yeah. And
definitely.
I think that's
My fear is that people will lose sight of that. They'll see this as like such a huge win, and they'll just forget about everything that, we've been fighting for. And that's the thing, is that we're still going to continue to critique, Joe and Kamala when they're in office. And this is just the beginning,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the beginning of a long road ahead. Just because we've been kind of dug into a hole these past 4 years. We may have not seen it at the beginning. Actually, no, we did see it at the beginning, and hopefully,
I'd say so.
Yeah, and probably the entire rest of the way, however many months he has left in office. But yeah, change is coming. It's on its way. But again, we just have to be patient. But this was it was a big win. It was a big and it was really nice to see all the people that voted. Like, there were more people that voted this year.
The voter turnout was crazy. I heard Joe Biden broke records for the amount of people that voted for him this year. And it's really great, because hopefully as we continue, more people will participate in our democracy, and we'll all make an effort to create change. You know what I mean? It's really great to see.
Exactly. And then the young demographic, there were a lot of young people that voted this year. That was really big.
Yeah.
A
lot of my friends voted.
Exactly.
That didn't vote before.
Yeah.
A lot of my coworkers voted that weren't going to vote. It's really awesome to see.
Yeah. And one thing that I've learned over this entire kind of election process is just pretty much more about like just politics in general. I mean, I was not a big politics person. I mean, I rarely watch the news. But I mean, let alone over these past...
honestly, me too.
Yeah.
I've been watching the news a lot more lately and actually enjoying it,
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like, how can you not? It's like, it's right there and it's affecting us, the people around us. It's hard not to pay attention,
Yeah. And if news isn't your thing, one thing that I've enjoyed was watching either John Oliver on HBO or Trevor Noah. Both those guys they really dumb down politics for you and make it easy to understand. Because I like humor and stuff. I think a lot of people like humor, so it's very appealing to young people.
Way more easier to absorb.
Yeah, but learning, kind of just how everything works in our country, learning the Electoral College, voting for the first time, and kind of this entire process and how everything works. It's been a great learning experience for me, and hopefully
me too.
For millions of other people. So this has been, even though this election has been probably one of the crazier ones, it was really,
especially during the pandemic.
Yeah, and all the the fraud,
fraud.
Yeah, exactly. The air quotes. But yeah, I mean, as crazy as this election has been, I've learned so much, and I've enjoyed it somewhat. But it feels good.
Too.
Yeah, it feels good to feel like that I've had a say in what's happened. Because I mean, I saw some things on Twitter.
Definitely. Like, you would think your little vote doesn't matter, but like the fact that it does, it just makes you feel like you're actually doing something and making a difference,
Yeah, there were some counties in like Pennsylvania or something that were separated by a vote, I saw on Twitter. So, I mean, when people tell me that, my vote doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
I disagree.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd have to disagree with that.
Especially in those battleground states, like every single vote counts. Yeah. Really.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's been a roller coaster ride, but even though through all of this, even though Biden won, the Democrats that are in office, one thing I still can't kind of get over is that still about 70 million people still voted for Donald Trump and everything that
he stands for. So, which literally blows my mind, you know, but
it's scary. It's a little
scary. I guess we're taking it a day at a time.
Yeah.
With Biden in office, hopefully those people will educate themselves.
Yeah, and
because I feel like it's really, really hard to support Trump at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, with all the controversy that's going on, like, if you support him, I'm just not sure why at all.
Yeah. And I mean, one thing that Biden like talks about is unity, uniting the country. I mean, as hard, I mean, America's history, I mean, has been just, you know, it's been full of just a lot of segregation, differences. I mean, even from when the Pilgrims first landed here till now. I mean, there's been a lot of differences between races, genders, different political beliefs, religious beliefs. There's been like persecutions and deaths and like wars waged over this. Like, you know, even this, what was it? Civil War? Civil War. So yeah, I mean, I just think that unity is everything that we want, but I mean, I'm trying to be optimistic here, but you know, over time, history has shown that we've failed to do that as a country, and you know, even now. So, but yeah, you know, trying to enjoy this one while we can, trying to enjoy these. Hopefully, get out of this, you know, this year and make some improvements.
Yeah, especially with Corona. Like, hopefully, Biden has a better plan than Trump.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully we can reopen the country and things will be semi back to normal, if that's even possible at this point, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I was very excited, was very relieved, to.
Definitely, yeah, relieved.
But yeah, I mean, they got it done. Do you have anything else to kind of say, before I kind of wrap up this slot?
Just one thing I want to say, kind of touched on it earlier, but this is a big win for us, but it isn't the end, and I don't want people's kind of passion towards creating change to kind of end just because Biden was in office. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of people, that was their goal, to get Trump out of office and elect Biden, and then they're going to be done, and then they're going to sit back and relax. You know what I mean? But there's still so much work to be done, and that passion still needs to be there in order for us to move forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's very important. Yeah, just because, you know, your side or the side that you voted for is in office doesn't mean you should take your foot off the gas. I mean, this is how you should treat every election, hopefully.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, staying educated, staying up to date with news, you know, reading online, you know, doing all necessary things to, you know, make sure you make that, you know, good decision. Because one thing I've learned is, you know, not only just voting for someone that I believe in, but reading up on them and, you know, finding out, you know, what they're, you know, what they, you know, want to do in the future with the economy,
their policies and such,
yeah, you know, globally and everything, you know. So, you know, just one thing I would encourage for next election is not only just to vote for someone who you think is, you know, fit for the job, but to also read up on them. So,
exactly.
But yeah, you did a great job of explaining that. Yeah. So, but yeah, don't lose sight of, you know, your like, you know, your politics. You know what I mean? It's always going to be there. It's coming around in the next 4 years, but enjoy this one while we can. Thank you so much for coming on, you know, twice. I've really enjoyed doing these with you and stuff, and talking about the Black Lives Matter movement and also the you know, politics in general. It's been very eye-opening for me, because I never thought I would, you know, be doing a podcast about, you know, politics and, you know, social issues, but I think it's
but it's such a big part of everyone's life, whether you want to believe it or not. You know what I mean? It's everywhere, so it's kind of hard to ignore it, especially now.
Exactly. It's been a lot of fun. It's been very insightful for me, and hopefully, to the viewers listening, it could be somewhat interesting. But yeah, I really appreciated it. Make sure you follow Claire on her socials. I'll leave them on the screen and down below. Thank you so much, Claire, and I'll move on to the next person. All right, so my next guest is Nate. Nate's been on quite a few times, but we kind of know where, or we kind of both have, our minds for politics. So, Nate, kind of give me your reaction to the election. Obviously, Biden won. Just give me some initial thoughts.
So, I'm definitely relieved. Of course, getting Donald Trump out of the White House was, as much as I don't think he has as much power as people think he does, it's a big step in the right direction. Just to give you an example, a lot of the immigration policies that we have today are because of Donald Trump, and it's mainly an executive branch decision. So when we look at, this election, we had to take those type of issues into account. So my initial thoughts were I was happy. Of course, I voted for Joe Biden. I'm not afraid to say that. I wouldn't say more voted. I would say settled. Of course, he wasn't in my top 5. I'll be honest with you. He was not in my top 5. But if we need to get Donald Trump out of there, I was willing to do that. I think he's a moderate, which is not the best thing in the world, but I dealt with it. So my first reaction, of course, like I said, it was happy. It was great. I was ecstatic Saturday morning. But now that I've had a few days to think about it, I've come to the conclusion that this is more of a vote against Trump, and you could see that because a lot of the polls expected Biden to blow Trump out the waters. They expected a Senate to be heavily favored in the Democrats, and they look like they're going to either lose it or tie, which is not good. The House. I think Republicans gained 4 seats, so it just shows nobody liked Donald Trump. It was a down ballot election, and I'm getting to the point now where I'm mostly pretty sure that we're going to be in a deadlock situation again for 4 years. Of course, I don't really know that. I can't really predict the future, but it's getting that type of feeling. I'm not feeling too confident at the moment of any significant change happening, but yes, Donald Trump is out of the White House, so I am happy about that. But yeah, that's where I kind of stood after the election happened and given a few days to think about it.
Yeah. I know you kind of just threw a lot of stuff out there. But what I liked is, settling for Biden. I think what a lot of people lose sight of, even though Biden won, I mean, it was mostly just to get Trump out of office. I mean, everyone that I've talked to has said the same thing. Obviously, he's a Democrat. Your far lefts are, going to obviously side with the Democratic candidate. But yeah. I like how I liked how you broke down sort of the other things, tackling immigration and other of obviously the Muslim ban. I don't think that kind of falls under that, and the differences in social injustice and border patrol, all that, separating families. So yeah, I mean, one thing that you also pointed out is not seeing significant change happening now. Can you go more into that for us?
Yeah. Let's just take, for example, the demographics. The New York Times exit poll for this election. Let's just take the demographics of minority votes for Trump and for Biden. So I wrote a whole article on this actually today. The Latino vote for Trump went up 3%, the black vote went up 4%, and the Asian vote went up 2%, which only tells me that we're not moving in a progressive direction. We're actually moving slightly backwards. So what I mean by I don't see significant change happening is that we're seeing significant change in the opposite direction. So 4 years of Trump gave us a view into which racism, xenophobic behavior, anti-women, anti-gay, anti-race, all that stuff is not a deciding factor in choosing a president anymore. And we can see that in the minority vote across the board. So what I hoped would have happened was that we would have this type of blue wave of progressive ideas to where we have a better shot at healthcare because the Senate is Democratic. We would have better shots at passing laws that restrict police force, which we're probably not going to get now that the Senate is, of course, still in Republican hands. So I'm not saying that I don't have hope that we will get to a place where this stuff could happen, but in terms of the next 4 years, it just doesn't look, from the numbers, it does not look like we're going to get anything too different other than maybe, environmental different, like, of course, the environment's a huge talking point. We probably will get something along those lines in terms of environmental change, but in terms of hot button issues like abortion, which I'm pro-choice, like racial inequality, to fix the racial inequality gap, those issues don't look like they're going to be solved anytime soon with the Biden presidency.
Okay. Yeah. You pointed out some interesting statistics there that I didn't even know. So, props to you for that. But yeah, I mean, I think one thing that everyone, very well needs to realize is that, half the country still voted for this guy. And, there was a surprising amount of, different races voting for him, not just, Caucasian, obviously, a lot of Latino, some Asian, and even some African American. So, that to me is a little bit of a concern. It's actually a big concern, actually, but just by the way that this guy has led our country these past 4 years, and the way he's carried himself towards these issues, he's just he's just been a mockery, for these past 4 years. He's made our country an absolute joke. I do agree the fact, after you broke it down a little bit, that there could be there could be like no progress being made, and I think even though Biden talks about uniting the country and stuff like that, I mean our entire history as a country has been full of events of division, whether it be Pilgrims and Native Americans, North and South, African Americans, whites, segregation, LGBTQ, straight, I can go on and on.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's still very prevalent today. And Democratic Republican has always been something that has been throughout history. The way, conservatives act and the way Democrats view politics has always been there. And although, uniting the country is something that Biden, talks about and stuff, it sounds all good on paper, sunshines, rainbows and stuff, but he's got his work cut out for him in these next 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question about it. Not only does he have to get us out of this mess that Trump has left these last 4 years, but he also needs to find a way, he also has to find a way to push us forward beyond this. So he's already kind of starting in the hole, and he's got to kind of get us out of it, but he's also got to progress forward. So
let's also not forget,
yeah.
Joe, like, as much as a lot of people love Barack Obama and that Joe Biden for 8 years, and I'm not saying that they did anything as bad as President Trump, but let's not forget, like, they deported more people than Trump did. That's just a fact. Like, this is stuff like, I'm a progressive, but I'm also not stupid. Like,
Yeah.
Joe Biden's like him and Obama did some pretty bad things. They didn't get us out of the war in Iraq. Like, these are just stuff that, like, he's a centrist. He's not, and this is also a good point to bring up, that Donald Trump did a really good job labeling him as a socialist, because a lot of the country thought Joe Biden was a socialist. You can see that in the Cuban vote in Miami. You can see that in Texas with some of the Latino vote there. So when we talk about, like, Joe Biden and how he's going to be this great hope that's going to unite the country, I'm not so sure he does that for people even on his own side. I think that he's a good face to have as a Democratic president, as to the world. He's not going to mess anything up in terms of being disrespectful or offending anybody. But at the same time, what are his actions going to be doing? That's what I'm more interested in. But I do have hope, of course. If you talk to conservatives from 2016, they thought Trump would be more of a liberal in terms of conservatism, but he ended up being very right-wing. So we will see if Joe has the kahunas, as I should say, to really push for these ideas that will help the people, instead of just kind of having it the same with not the tweets. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to see that coming in the next couple years.
I mean, you could also kind of see that Biden's kind of, he could just be, a puppet, just, telling the American citizens everything that they want to hear, but not coming through with it and making actual change is, it's big. You're leading an entire country. You're leading one of the greatest economies in the world. All that at your disposal. One of the best military armed forces in the world, and you have all that at your disposal. But with great power comes great responsibility. I'm not saying I'm worried about him. I'm not saying I'm concerned, but I'm just very interested to see what he does in these next 4 years. And just to piggyback off that, like,
it's going to be interesting too to see. I mean, just from like I know a lot of people on the left will not like me saying this, but the dude is 78 years old. Like, let's not forget that he's a very old. I think he is the oldest candidate we've ever elected.
Yeah.
He might be 86 by the time he gets out of if he survives 8 years. So we are electing an older candidate who, let's be honest, he's had a lot of like these gaffes that people like to bring up. And I'm not saying that he probably just messes up a lot. Like, I'm saying he probably messes up a lot. I get that. I mean, he did talk about the stuttering issue, but it's something you can't ignore when it comes to a president who, he can barely speak. Like, the guy has all these gaps. So it to me brings up the situation of like, okay, how did we get to a point where we're trying to elect a 74-year-old president, a 78-year-old president? That's the only option we got. I mean, you could point to the Electoral College and all this, but to me, I don't see Joe Biden getting rid of the Electoral College, filibustering, all these things that prohibit any type of expansion of our system. So it's just tough. It's a tough pill to swallow when you're so happy that Donald Trump is defeated, that we get this guy out of office, but then we kind of got to set like how people are saying, like, we're settling for a guy who's marginally better. But we don't know if he's actually going to be pushing for any type of significant change.
Exactly. And I mean, like you said, I mean, about the candidates, being super old. Hopefully one day there could be an election where, some of these candidates are a little younger and, they're, more, they got more, like thoughts to them and stuff, and they just have some age, just because, I mean, like these past couple of elections have had, some pretty old candidates. So
if you look at the history of the United States, the younger candidates have high approval ratings. You're talking about like Abraham Lincoln, you're talking about John F. Kennedy, you're talking about Barack Obama. Like, these are like presidents who were well loved because they were younger, can relate more to the population. So I don't know what the deal is with electing these old presidents. It doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Like, I mean, take Ocasio-Cortez for an example. I mean, she's super young. She just got, what, senator of New York, right? Something like that?
She's House Representative
of New York? Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people look up to her. So hopefully some inspiration could come of that. Michelle Obama, I know she was, first lady and stuff, but she looks younger, so hopefully, some inspiration and some more some drive for, the younger generation. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Do you have anything else to add on before we kind of close this part down?
Just for like a reference for everybody, like I would say I'm not, you could probably hear what's coming out of my mouth and think a lot of things, but I'm definitely progressive, but I believe in conservative thoughts. So when I say, Donald Trump is a pretty bad president, if I was to take all of my political views aside, like I'm for the Second Amendment, right? And if I was just for Second Amendment, I would have voted for Donald Trump. So, like, to bring that up is just say, like, I think a lot of these people voted for their one issue that they really wanted, and I think this year's issue was definitely getting Donald Trump out of office. So that's my final thought on the election was just Donald Trump needed to go, and the people have spoken. Yeah, so
100%. But I am very proud of everyone that voted, and it was good to see the numbers up from 2016, which was an absolute shit show. But yeah, it was really good to see a lot of younger people voting, a lot of minority voting, just, friends, family. It was really good to see that. And so yeah, it had some records in there, but yeah, it was very insightful election, learned a lot. But yeah, Nate,
shout out to LeBron and shout out to Stacey Abrams who really pulled that vote out of Georgia with, LeBron has his organization. I think they worked closely in Georgia, and Stacey Abrams was door to door in Atlanta, Athens, and these big places, making sure everybody votes. So shout out to them. Shout out to them.
Yeah. And all right, one more thing before we go. What was your favorite election meme? Do you have a favorite
election meme?
Mine was the Photoshop of LeBron blocking Iguodala. But Biden's head's on that. That was my favorite one.
My favorite one. This one's close. It was either LeBron, where he has the glasses and he has the headphones, but it's Joe Biden's face.
Yeah,
it's that one, or it was like Lil Baby putting on the chain and it said Biden. Those are probably my favorite too. Those were hilarious.
Yeah, but hey, Nate, I appreciate you coming on, and kind of speaking on this issue. I like getting different opinions from different people, different backgrounds, and just, different minds, different, lifestyles. So I appreciate you coming on. We're going to go to my next guest, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Appreciate you, Tim.
Yeah. Thank you for making it to the end of this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something, and I hope you were able to vote and cast your vote. Thank you for supporting the Crib Podcast, even though I've had a couple breaks and some time off. But I've just figured I'm just going to be dropping episodes every now and then. I'll have another episode for you guys around Thanksgiving time, so look out for that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for supporting me through this. I never thought that this podcast would get to where it is, but it is with your support I'm able to have somewhat of this small platform. So I really appreciate it, you guys. Stay tuned. I got some more stuff planned in the future.